All right, guys, we're finished with our congruence. So now we're going to look at another theorem with to do with that's dealing with triangles is the triangle inequality theorem. So basically, the triangle inequality theorem says that the sum of the lengths of two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. So it must be greater than, not even equal to. It just has to be greater than. So and remember that it's a sum. It's not just one side. So it's two sides added together have to be greater than the other side, that side length. So as you'll see in this diagram here, A, B, and so A, B, and B, C, that has to be greater than just AC. So whatever those two numbers added together have to be bigger than AC. If not, it's not a triangle. Okay, it's not going to add up to be. It's not going to make a triangle. Same thing with any two sides. So it's not just specific sides. It's any two sides. If you add those two, they have to be greater than the third side. And again, it can't even be equal to, because it wouldn't, either the triangle won't close all the way, or you have like an extra length, like side length that continues on. And so we're trying to, that's the whole point of this theorem, essentially. All right, so let's take a look and see how this looks in our examples. We have a triangle here, and it says use the triangle inequality theorem to find possible values for x. So what we'll have here is our x side here is AC, and that's the one that we're trying to find possible values for. Well, what do we know based on the triangle inequality theorem is that AB plus BC have to be greater than. So AB plus BC has to be greater than AC, okay? So I have 27.5 plus 18 has to be greater than x, all right? So then I add those two together, and I get 45.5 must be greater than x. So if I don't necessarily say it this way, so typically you write it as this way, x has to be less than 45.5. So 45.4, yep, will work. Okay, 45.5 won't work. Okay, so any number that's going to be less than that. Also, but there's kind of like an I guess an unnoticed, I guess, bottom end of our x value here in our range, I guess, for x to be, and that's 0. Okay, so it has to be between 0 and 45.5. I can't have a negative distance when I'm talking about a measurement of x, and I can't have 0 or I don't have a side length. Okay, so it has to be between 0 and 45.5. So we have like an end or a bottom part that we don't really see or talk about. I say see, that we don't really talk about and you may not think about, but it can't be less than 0. So that's something to be aware of. All right, so now we're going to write an inequality, find possible values for x. So right here, so we know that AB plus AC has to be greater than BC. So 21.4 plus 6.3 has to be greater than BC, which is x. So we would have 27.7 has to be greater than x, or x has to be less than 27.7. And we also talked about that the bottom side of that has to be 0. So here's our inequality to that are possible values of x. All right, so Kara's dog ran away from her and she's looking for her. So how far away is Kara from her dog? Now, this is just a possibility is how far, okay? It's not going to be an exact science. But what I do know is that the distance from the dog to the house plus the distance from the house to Kara is going to have to be greater than her distance to the dog, okay? Just in basic triangle method there. So I'm going to have I know that 170 plus 214 has to be greater than our distance here. We don't know x. So this is going to be 4. So, and we're talking about meters. So x has to be less than 384 meters. Again, we have like a bottom side of that, which is 0 meters. So Kara is within 384. So if this was a multiple choice problem, you could see maybe just one answer choice would fall in this range between 0 and 384. And the only one that would make sense is that one there. So it would have to be between those two values. X would have to be there. So she's at least closer than 384 meters from her dog. That's another possibility there. So another way, I guess, to word it. So again, we've kind of taken we're done with congruence. We're now going into another theorem with a triangle inequality theorem. Remember that that is the sum. Okay, don't forget that it's the sum. It's the sum of two sides are going to have to be greater than the third side. So just keeping that in mind here. No angles are involved. You don't have to worry about an angle. You're just looking at side lengths here. And that's it for triangle inequality theorem. Pretty straightforward. And that's it. Now you get to practice with your skill check.